Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, you guys know the drill. If you guys would please smash that like button, I'd really appreciate it. If you guys could leave a comment down below, I don't care what it is. It super helps the channel out. It is Thursday morning. It's bright and early. We're back in the shop. In the spray booth this week, we have a 2016 Infiniti QX60. Now, this vehicle came in for a quarter panel repair, and it actually was already previously repaired by somebody else. But what happened is the paint started delaminating in this area. Wasn't prepped very good, and it was the clear was completely gone, and it was exposed base coat, and it started fading and chalking out. And it wasn't very glossy at all. It had a lot of dust and dirt in it, and just wasn't looking very good. So it wasn't quite up to par. So it's a really nice vehicle. So we went ahead and did a slight repair. There was a little scratch in there, so we went ahead and filled that, did a little spot prime. Since we had to blend the door anyway, there was a little ding by the door handle. I went ahead and fixed that. And luckily I had a really good color match, so blending this was quite easy. You can see on the tape here, I did color out about 3/4 of my door. You can see a little mist of overspray on this tape, but there's not really much color in the front part of this door, so this door will match the original color. And you can see up here on the upper part of the quarter panel, same thing. I kind of used this body line to hide my blend, and I didn't bring my color up and over onto the sail panel at all. But overall, it came out really good. There's plenty of clear on here. I do need to do a little bit of color sanding and machine buffing and polishing to get it to look consistent. But overall, bodywork looks killer. Paint came out pretty nice. Just needs a little bit of color sanding. So super happy. Let's see here. Let's see our color match here. I don't know if you guys can see that or not, but it's a pretty darn good match. I am really happy with that. So made for an easy blend. Sometimes these Infinitis and a lot of these higher end vehicles, Lexus is another one. When you get these funky colors that have lots of pearl and metallic flake in them and stuff, and they could just get like, they're just odd colors. You know, it's not really purple, it's not really red, it's not really maroon. It's just a little bit of everything. The color can get tricky sometimes, but luckily I had a really good match on this. So we're gonna go ahead and get this unmasked today and start color sanding. We also have to do, we did a brake job on this vehicle about 6 months ago, and our rotors are rusty. So the rear rotors, for some reason, didn't come with any sort of paint or protection on the steel part of the rotor. So it just started rusting, and with this big exposed wheel, it just kind of looks like an eyesore. So front brakes are good. Those came protected. For some reason, these rear rotors were just raw steel. So we're gonna go ahead and wire brush and clean up this rust. And we're gonna go ahead and paint the hub part of the brake rotors. We're also gonna be doing an oil change on this. We're gonna rotate the front tires to the rear and the rear tires to the front. And we're also gonna do a full exterior polish, machine polish on this thing, and a rock chip repair as well. So this thing will be looking top notch at its best when it leaves. Now on the auto repair, we have our 2017 Ford Mustang Batmobile edition back in the shop. The last time this vehicle was in the shop, we had Mikey put in a triple pillar gauge pod. Now you can see right there, it's looking pretty good. See if I can't turn these gauges on. But yeah, last time this vehicle came in, we had Mikey put in this triple gauge pillar pod, and we do have transmission temp, we have a fuel pressure, nitrous pressure gauge. The fuel pressure gauge is the only one we currently have hooked up. We still got to figure out a port to tap to get the transmission temperature. It is a manual transmission, so it is kind of funky to have a transmission temperature gauge, but that's okay. We'll find a port to put it in anyway. That's what the customer wanted. And of course, we're going to find a port to put the nitrous pressure in once the nitrous system gets installed. So today we are installing a Zex Nitrous system. Now you can see here we do have our Zex Nitrous bottle. It's brand new. It's a 10-pound bottle. It's empty, of course, right now. They ship them empty. We have our bottle nut with our 4An fitting. We have our wiring. We have our bottle mounts. They're staggered, so they'll give it kind of like a angled position. And there is a tube inside this. There's a siphon tube that goes in this, and then it usually angles down. So it's actually into this corner. So the bottle sits like this, and it is supposed to be positioned forward, traveling with the vehicle. Of course, we'll be positioning these mounts the best we can to give that an appropriate angle. As well as temperature. Your nitrous relies on temperature for pressure. Obviously, the warmer it is, the higher pressure you're going to have. So they do sell additional bottle heater kits that you can purchase as well, which is what I have on the Turbo Civic Coupe. But so during the winter, you're not going to have as much pressure with your nitrous system, and during the summertime it can get really hot, and you don't want it to get too hot. So it's kind of bad if you guys live in some really hot states to leave a full bottle of nitrous just sitting in the trunk. But we also have some switches, some wire connectors, we have some other fittings. We have a 16-foot long 4N steel braided line for the nitrous. That's our main feed. We'll be running that from the trunk where we mount the bottle all the way up front to our nitrous solenoid. Here is our T. So we'll be running these lines right into here from the solenoids, and that's what will mix the fuel and the nitrous together, and that will be positioned somewhere in the intake, and I believe it's around 6 inches from the throttle body that it needs to be positioned, and of course the right angle as well. Here are the solenoids. So you got one for your fuel, one for your nitrous, and we'll be positioning those in a convenient spot in the engine compartment. And there you have it, guys. We got our jets here based off your OEM fuel pressure and how much nitrous shot you want to run. There's a chart that will give you the right corresponding jets to give you the right mixture of nitrous to spray in. Now those jets actually install inside this fitting, and then they are encapsulated by these lines right here so they can't fall out. So that's pretty much the goal today. We're going to get as far as we can on the nitrous install. I'm sure we'll end up needing a couple more things, and of course a little more time to not only finish the nitrous install but probably the transmission temperature gauge. But we're going to get as far as we can once again on the nitrous install. Customer's really happy, found a shop that's willing to do it, and Mikey and I both have installed nitrous systems before, and we do have experience with it, so this is nothing to us. So we are pumped to be doing that today. So we're just going to get as far as we can on that, and that's all we can do. We're not going to kill ourselves on it, and it'll probably come back for at least one more appointment to button some things up. So on the lift, we still have the 97 Jetta. Now we are going to be doing a Fast and Furious tribute on this vehicle. So it's going to be Jesse's Jetta from the original Fast and Furious movie. We're going to be refinishing the exterior, graphics, the wheels, the whole 9 yards. So first things first is the clutch was smoked. So I was able to, in the last vlog, you guys saw that we put a new clutch in it. So the new clutch, flywheel, pressure plate, rear main seal, all that stuff's installed. And I did have some time, and I went ahead and threw the transmission back up, and I got the motor mount back on, so that way our motor's back in place. We're still at a point where we're just getting ready to throw the starter back in. We still got to hook a few things up. I do have the clutch cable hooked back up. We still got to install the axles. I do have some brand new hardware for the CV axles, so we'll probably be installing that. Those are triple square bolts. They are a special bolt. They're not Torx, they're not Allen, they're a triple square. So it takes a special tool to be able to remove those and install them. Some guys will switch them out with Allen heads, but I actually don't mind going back to triple square. So as long as you have the correct tool and they're clean and free of debris, they do come out just fine. So anyways, we do have the transmission going back in that. Once that's buttoned up, we'll give it a little test run, make sure everything's good, and then we'll pull it back in and we'll be doing the timing. So we're gonna go ahead and take everything apart here. We're gonna go ahead and do the timing belt, water pump, tensioner, valve cover gasket. We're gonna do a full tune-up on it, plugs, all that good stuff, wires, cap, rotor. We got a couple leaks as well, so we're gonna probably go ahead and seal up the oil pan and a couple other things, and then we'll probably proceed forward with finishing off with the fluids, and of course doing the front and rear brakes, probably slotted drilled rotors, all that good stuff, and the mechanical side of things will be pretty much wrapped up, and then we can proceed forward with the paint and body. Now you can see here I have the front lip from Wings West that will be replacing the OEM lip. But on our new bumper cover, the OEM lip is actually molded to the bumper. So we probably won't be using that bumper unless I figure out a good way to cut it off and try to see if we can't make a couple brackets to hold that Wings West lip in place, because we do have a pretty nasty crack on our OEM bumper. I might be looking for a new OEM bumper to replace this one. So if anybody has one, hit me up. If anybody knows of one, hit me up. Obviously it has to be OEM, because obviously the aftermarkets have the OEM lip molded into the bumper where this one actually separates. So I really don't want to fix this, so we'll probably end up seeing what it's going to take to cut that off and seeing what it's going to take to get the Wings West front lip molded to that. We are going to have the Golf headlights, TYC headlights installed here. They are Hella style, so they will be pretty accurate to the movie car. And we also have a Golf grill that's going to replace this to fit the original Golf headlights. And then it does stop a little short of the Jetta hood. So we do need to custom fabricate a filler panel that they no longer made that the movie car actually had. So shouldn't be too big of a deal, but super pumped to proceed forward with the paint and body. So we're almost there. Probably another week or two we'll be kind of wrapping up hopefully some of this auto repair stuff and get back to the paint and body on this car. But one thing at a time, we're just kind of picking away at it in between things. Of course, we're going to have all new blinkers, lights, all that good stuff. So super pumped. We have our flares here that are going to be going on there. We have our timing belt water pump kit right here. So there you have it, guys. I'm going to get to work. Mikey's going to be here soon. We're going to go ahead and start in on the 2017 Ford Mustang Batmobile edition. And we'll be also working on the Infiniti, trying to get that thing wrapped up. So I'm going to get to work and I'm going to check in with you guys here shortly. All right, guys, we're back. Next day. Mikey did get a few hours in on the nitrous install. We were able to get the solenoids mounted there on the strut tower. We got the lines ran securely, and we got our bottle mounted. I'm gonna show you guys the bottle mount in the trunk. Now you can see here, we put it on the left driver's side. That is because we had a 16-foot long nitrous line, and we mounted our solenoids on the driver's side of the vehicle because the throttle body is also on the driver's side of the vehicle. So we wanted to not lose a few feet by crossing over the car at some point. So we got it mounted over to the side. There is a siphon tube inside these nitrous bottles, so they are supposed to be traveling a forward direction technically, and they are supposed to be mounted with the label upright like that because the siphon tube is in this bottom corner. You can see we got our bottle brackets ran through the carpet with bolts. Now inside the steel, we set 4 steel rib nuts, so we didn't have to get a wrench underneath. You can see we have a slice in the carpet where we ran our nitrous line to, and it just kind of goes under the carpet right there, and there was a rubber grommet behind the bottle that we popped the line through. We are able to run the line securely underneath the car. Now underneath the car there was a plastic shield protecting the fuel lines, so we dropped that and we ran the nitrous line securely with the fuel lines, and we followed the fuel lines right up into here, and you can see our line coming right here, right into a T, a 4N T that has a 1/8 pipe thread fitting. We were able to utilize for our nitrous pressure gauge sensor, and then to 4N into our nitrous solenoid. We have our fuel solenoid mounted here. We have a short 4N line going right there. It's not hooked up yet. We're going to be doing that next time it comes in for an appointment. But you can see we installed a fuel pressure gauge, and we had this fancy adapter which also had another port 1/8 pipe thread fitting. We're going to remove that plug next time it comes in. We have a 4N to 1/8 pipe thread fuel filter fitting from NOS Systems, and we're going to go ahead and install that so we can put our fuel line into that, and that's how we're going to get our fuel. We mounted our solenoids to the brackets that it came with, and we utilized this tab that had a factory hole that wasn't being used, and we just put a bolt, nut, and washer, lock washer, and secured them. Right now the lines are just tucked behind the intake, but they are going to come over to here. Here's our throttle body. We do want to be in line with our throttle body, so we're going to be loosening this charge pipe, which is a rubber pipe. We're going to be loosening this clamp, pulling it back. We're going to be installing a short section of 2 3/4 inch charge pipe. We're gonna drill it, we're gonna install our nut, and we're gonna put our fuel nitrous splitter along with the jets in right there, and we're gonna have this charge pipe. We might have to cut it a little bit. We're gonna reinstall this charge pipe onto the end of the charge pipe section that we install. And then we just have to wire the solenoids to a on-off switch, and then we will be putting it on a full throttle switch. So with that being said, we have a few more things to do yet. It's gonna be coming in for one more appointment. We should be able to button everything up, but everything is in place. Here is our splitter. This is what will be going. We wanna make sure that the nozzle is spraying directly in line with the intake. We don't want it around any bends. So we're pretty much gonna be installing it into the charge pipe just like this. We'll have our 4 AND lines coming from the fuel solenoids and the nitrous solenoids over into it. This is where we're also gonna be installing the jet. We're just gonna be doing the 50 shot. So it will be getting the small jets based off the factory OEM fuel pressure. The chart will tell us which jets we need to install to run the 50 shot of nitrous for an additional 50 horsepower. So here is our fuel filter. This is a 1/8 pipe thread to 4 AND with a little mesh screen to filter the fuel. That's what we'll be tapping our fuel pressure gauge adapter with to our fuel solenoid. So that will be going in place where we have the block off port. We'll be installing this, and then we'll be able to install our fuel line, and that's how we will get pickup fuel from our factory fuel system. Now, I always like to keep hardware like this on hand. We have a little kit here. We have different size, you know, 3/8, 5/16, 1/4 inch, you name it. Washers, lock washers, nuts to match. This is handy stuff to keep around, guys. I also have another series of hardware for like classic GM cars. You know, I have 5/16 bolts, I have the 3/8 bolts, clip nuts, all that stuff like that. Another fancy tool I have here is a nut cert tool. Now, I ordered this tool online, but you can get them at multiple places, either online. I think you can even get a cheap one at Harbor Freight. They're all pretty much the same. You don't really need to do too much, but I have a kit here, and I've laminated the instructions for the tool so it doesn't get damaged, because sometimes you forget how to use it when you don't use it for a while. But it has basically, you know, 1/4x20, it has all these fancy fittings, and you can see here I ordered M6 nut certs, and I keep the M6 nut cert tool with all the extra M6 nut certs, and I think these are also M6 nut certs. So I have a bunch of those because I like to use a lot of the metric stuff on cars. But another one to have is some 1/4x20. We actually use the rest of our 1/4x20 nut certs on the back of this, so we will be looking into getting some more 1/4x20 and fill up this thing a little bit more, because those are 2 sizes that we'll be using. But you can see here they're all color coded for different sizes. These come in real handy when installing things, whether you're installing nitrous systems, light bars, brackets, anything additional accessory wise that you're putting into your car. Having one of these tools just makes for a really clean install. You can install things securely and nicely without having to just use tech screws and stuff like that. So I do recommend getting one of these kits, guys. Make sure I put these instructions back in here. But a nut cert tool is definitely a handy tool to have in the shop. So I keep that, as well as cases of hardware, and I have some more cases of hardware down there as well. So this vehicle is going to come in one more time. We are going to install the charge pipe section with a new coupler, 3 T-bolt clamps. We are going to drill a hole into the 2 3/4 inch charge pipe connector, and we're going to go ahead and insert that splitter. We're going to make sure we put thread paste on all the fittings that are non-AND line. AND lines don't need thread paste, but the pipe thread does. So we need to make sure that we do install all the pipe thread paste on the MPT fittings, and we'll go ahead and fully secure all the lines, and then we'll make sure we wire the solenoids to a relay, and then a nice on and off switch to engage the system. And then we'll be running the nitrous system on a full throttle switch, which will probably end up mounting to some sort of bracket and on the pedal accelerator itself. So we will not be going off the throttle body because this is a drive-by-wire. They do make a drive-by-wire system that you can purchase. It's hundreds of dollars and a little more involved, but there's nothing wrong with using a little micro switch for a full throttle position off the pedal accelerator or the throttle body itself if your car can do it, if it's not drive-by-wire. So anyways, there it is. We're pretty excited. One more full day, we should be able to get the transmission temperature gauge tapped and installed, and as well as fully secure these lines and finish installing the intake and wire up the system to a on-off switch as well as a wide open throttle switch to activate the nitrous system. So anyways, we are excited to finish this thing up, but it is coming in one more time. So there you have it. Over here on the Infiniti, I think today I have to finish the detailing. I have not started on the detailing yet. We still have to do a little color sanding. Machine buff polished this panel. We're gonna reinstall our door handle, and we're gonna go ahead and continue forward with machine polishing the rest of the paint. And then we'll do a nice detailed paint touch up when we're all done. Give it a wash, shine the tires, you know, probably apply a ceramic coat of wax on the whole vehicle. As well as, if you look here, I did remove the rear brake rotors and paint the brake rotors, and I rotated the rear wheels to the front and front wheels to the rear. So we rotated the tires and we did a synthetic oil change on this thing as well. So funny thing about these cars is they do have 2 oil reset lights, one on the navigation system and one on the cluster itself. So you do have to go into both manually and separately and reset the oil change lights. So anyways, there you go. We just used a metal etch primer that we use on a lot of things that are bare metal. It is kind of weird that we did gray, but that is actually what Brake Best uses on their rotors. For some reason, like I said in the last vlog, that sometimes they just don't paint the rotors, since I think some of their old stock isn't painted, but the fronts were painted, so they do match the fronts, but they look nice and fresh, looking good, reinstalled. Wheels and tires are rotated, oil changed, lug nuts torqued, oil lights reset. So today we just got to do a little color sanding, buffing, polishing, paint touch up, get this thing washed up, ceramic waxed, and delivered to our customer. So anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying the vlogs. I appreciate anybody that's watching, anybody that's liking the videos, and I really appreciate if anybody leaves a comment. So if you guys can, like this video, leave a comment down below. If you haven't, hit that subscribe button. We'll see you in the next one.
Ooh, like LeBron though, or like Bonzo. Ooh, I'm a baller, yeah, shot caller, yeah. They love me, you can't touch me, nah, can't trust me. I'm too lucky. Look at me, look at you, what you see, what you do.